Ashdown Jones speaking. Sorry, he just said he switched it on really quick and I wasn't ready for it. It's Sam and Phil from Ashdown Jones on another episode of Ask AJ.
It's why we do it live, because if we have to record them, we get to take 1,000 still giggling.
Yeah, I wasn't quite ready for that. Is everybody having a good day? It's a little bit dull here in Windermere today. It was nice this morning. It is nice and warm though. Yeah, this is why Phil is very casually dressed today. Casual dress down Wednesday. And the reason that I look beautiful, although he did say I'm wearing my Simon Cowell jeans, which is a bit of a worry. Even though they're brand new from Topshop, thank you.
So what's the question today?
The question we got asked yesterday on a beautiful house. We went to see this most amazing home. In fact, when we asked for directions to the home, we were told it was the mansion on the hill. And it was pretty much a mansion.
Sounds like an Ed Sheeran song.
It was just a mansion on the hill.
It's a castle on the hill.
How was it? It was just absolutely stunning. But by the owner's own admission, they had been there for 28 years and there were some rooms they had not touched in 28 years. And so what we wanted to know was, if they were going to sink some cash into the house to sell it, where should they put it, and should they put it in their shop?
And it's always the case that the owner of the home thinks they need to spend more than they, or need to even not spend or do more than they actually need to do in order for it to be in a marketing position.
Yeah.
And look, we put a home live this morning, which is ultra.
What does that mean, Phil? Putting a home live?
Putting a home live means we put a home live on the market on Rightmove for you to all to go and see and view and buy.
Windthwaite house.
Yes. And
stunner of a house.
And look, it'd be amazing if all homes were like that. They're obviously not. Where I'm going with this. And therefore.
Some people think they need to get to that standard before they can sell, but you don't.
Yeah, so look, to get to that standard, it's going to be the size of the house we went to yesterday. It's going to be £700,000-800,000.
Yeah.
And obviously, you would never ever get that back. So our job is to decide exactly where money needs to be spent or time needs to be spent in order for it to become more saleable, without it being a huge investment, to make sure that you get that back, or if you don't get it back, it lends itself into selling quicker or being more saleable.
Or you get more buyers.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's a crossing point, isn't there? So you could sink £50,000 into the house and then feel like you need to get that back by putting £50,000 on the asking price. But your buyers don't necessarily recognise the £50,000 you just spent. So you could just lose it, in the negotiations.
Especially if it's things like a new roof.
Oh, we're going to go into details, aren't we? But that's true.
Yeah.
Actually, if the roof is really bad, sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes as well, buyers overestimate the value of the renovations that are needed. So if you show a buyer a leaky roof, a buyer's going to think, oh my goodness, £50,000, but it actually might be just a £5,000 fix or even less.
And if you just spent £50,000 on the roof, you cannot expect that £50,000 to go on the price of the house.
No, because what you've actually done is you've spent £50,000 over the preceding 10 or 20 years. It's what was already needed, and so you need to factor that into the time that's already gone. So, one particular room stood out yesterday, because as we were looking around this house, some of the rooms were very dated. Very nicely kept, but dated.
Your kind of time, wasn't it? All outdated me, but it's...
Some of the patterns I recognised from my mum's wallpaper back in the 70s. So yeah, some of it was that old, and it went older and older as you gradually got the house onto the top floor. So they'd identified one particular room which was a little bit of an eyesore that they wanted to spend £15,000 in, and that was the family bathroom. And they said, right, we're not going to tell you what we think, but what do you think? And the fix we gave them, they could have done in 2 days for under £300.
Yeah.
So they were prepared to spend £15,000, actually only need to spend £300. And that's the kind of advice that you need before you do any of that work. Because some work you will never get back, and the worst thing in the world will be for us to spend £15,000 or them to spend £15,000 in that bathroom, and the buyer come along and just completely rip it out and start again.
Yeah, especially if it's new. A big one for that is kitchens. We know that kitchens are, generally speaking, the number one room that viewers go into and think, if it's an amazing kitchen, it's a lot easier to sell. However, putting in a kitchen to sell is extremely risky because A, you're probably going to do it on the cheap and it'll be noticeable. B, you're trying to guess what the buyer's taste is going to be. Where in fact, if you're going to put a £20,000 kitchen in, it's probably better just to adjust the price by 10,000, save the extra money, and give someone the opportunity to imagine what their dream kitchen could look like. And it's actually exciting for most people to move into a home and have a kitchen to put in. As long as the space is there, that's more important than getting the exact right kitchen.
And also, if it obviously needs a new kitchen, the buyer will just discount the kitchen that's there in their mind. If it's a new but not in their taste, that's hard for them to discount.
But they don't. They just don't do it.
Yeah.
Because where was it where someone put a brand new kitchen in and they went in and ripped it out straight away?
Oh, we went to see one where it had a bright red kitchen and with black and white checkerboard tiles on the other side of the lake, and that was a challenge because they just put it in. It was new, and we knew that it would be really difficult to find a buyer that loved that exact kitchen. So, and the buyer just can't see past it. So they're driving around the Lake District going, what do you think about the one with the red kitchen though? And it becomes too big a distraction for the rest of the house.
And it feels like a pet. I can't remember the exact house, but I remember getting the feedback constantly about why did they put that kitchen in?
And it distracts them from the rest of the house.
Yeah,
a lovely feature.
Because they feel like they're paying for a new kitchen.
Yeah.
And then another new kitchen to change it.
Yeah, that's fair actually. Okay, so we've got some do's and don'ts. So first of all, we'll do the don'ts, what not to touch. So if you absolutely have to do something to the kitchen, the cheap sort of fixes are a new floor. So if the floor is literally broken or disfigured in some way, you add in.
Yeah, one every day.
Thank you. Then just replace the floor, because actually a new floor in a kitchen can really transform the kitchen. Especially if you've got carpet in the kitchen.
New floors can transform any room.
In fact, actually, new floors are probably the only sound investment.
Yeah.
Because they transform the room so drastically and make it look so much more appealing online and in person that actually it's probably a sound investment.
They can take a dated room to a modern room by changing it from the purple flowery type you get in my nan's house to a grey modern carpet. It changes the whole feel of the room.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So in general, don't touch the kitchens. If you have to touch the kitchen, floor first. If your fingers are still itching, maybe work surface or sink. But if it definitely needs replacing, you are wasting your money, I promise you. So try not to go any further than that. Next one is bathrooms.
Slight caveat on that, unless you're doing the whole house.
Yeah, well, that's the problem though, isn't it? Because if you do one room, this is what I said to them yesterday, if you do one room, where are you going to stop? It's like plastic surgery. Bathrooms, they had carpet on the bathroom, and it was a proper thick 1960s shag pile carpet, and it went all the way up the side of the bath panel as well. And that is a no.
It's a new one for me.
Yeah, you've never seen carpet on the side of a bath panel.
I haven't.
I don't really know why somebody would do it. Anyway, they used to do it back in the days. Or there used to be little steps up to your bath with carpets on the. Anyway.
For short people like you.
Well, I don't know, it used to be in hotels and stuff. It's just what used to happen. But yeah, it's not the thing now. And I know that carpet feels warm in bathrooms, but it doesn't feel hygienic, and it's not what a modern buyer wants.
It's a common comment as well.
Yeah.
Why would you put carpets in bathrooms?
Yeah. And it just has, you've got a negative comment before you've really kind of seen all the rooms in the house. You've got a negative comment you're trying to overcome, and you're already talking about ripping something out.
Especially if they've already gone into the kitchen and thought, right, there's 20,000 I'm going to spend here. And then, although a nice lino now is a few £100s, for the buyer to go into a bathroom with a carpet, it's just another thing.
They also think that they have to replace the whole bathroom suite because a carpet in the bathroom makes the bathroom suite look old, which is daft because the bathroom suite yesterday wasn't that old and it was actually in good condition. Okay, so extensions. These are almost always a no. No matter how small you think your house is, extensions are not for you to do, they're for the buyer to do. You will almost never get your money back for an extension. The only way that you could get your money back for an extension is if it was part of the overall renovations and you've done your sums.
Yeah, so I want to add planning into that section actually.
Go on.
And planning I put planning in the middle because sometimes it can be a good idea, and sometimes it just won't do anything. So I went to a home recently that you went to in January actually. I was on holiday does. And it's a lovely private plot with a 3,000 square foot home on there.
Which is a big house.
Yeah, and behind they've got another little garden which they use to play cricket and etc. And they were asking if they could potentially put planning on there. And the whole point of the site, one of the best features of the site is how private it is and how it sits. The house sits in the middle of the plot. And so they were saying they could get planning on. They were saying they could get planning on the site behind, and they were asking for a few different valuations: a valuation for the house and a valuation for the plot with the site behind. I was saying you're not adding any value to the house because the person that's going to buy here does not want someone behind them and does not even want to invest in it. So all it is a distraction to what you're offering. And therefore, I strongly suggest that they didn't go ahead with planning, which is what they actually wanted to do. They didn't want to go ahead with planning, but it's a natural thing. Like bedrooms, it's a natural thing that people think if we have extra bedrooms, if we have extra potential on planning, it adds to the value, and it's not always
the case. No, sometimes it's just a distraction because if somebody. So I went to see a house a few weeks ago. It had a barn next to the house, beautiful planning permission on the barn. Not done, just planning permission. But I was trying to think who would want a very big house with a barn with planning permission for a 3-bedroom house right next to it, and that's the challenge, because you're not just trying to find somebody who wants planning permission, which could be a builder or self-build, and you're not just trying to find somebody who wants a big house with privacy. You're trying to find somebody who wants both those two things. So that's one market, that's another market. You've only got a tiny narrow market in the middle, and nobody wants to buy a house with a barn with planning permission and feel like they're paying for something they just don't want or need. So that's the issue. Which actually brings us on nicely to annexes, which we'll take up afterwards.
Yeah, annex is very similar.
And what do we mean by an annex?
An annex, ancillary accommodation on the side of the house. So
granny flats,
holiday let, anything like that. It's if you are thinking that you have the potential to put an annex on and you think it's a good idea in terms of value, it is not a good idea. Obviously, if it suits your needs, it suits your lifestyle, then go for it. But it's often harder to sell a home with an annex than it is without, because if you show someone around a house and it suits in terms of size, they then feel like they're paying extra for an annex, and if it doesn't suit them, if they're not looking to holiday let, they haven't got a family, that the last thing you want is your mother-in-law living with you. So if you are planning to put an annex on, don't. If you do have an annex, and we went to see a lovely home with an annex a couple of days ago, the challenge you have, and think about this if you are putting an annex on, is how do you then make it into part of the house?
If that's what somebody wants.
Yeah.
How do you somebody think about the house as one?
Yeah, because even if someone is looking for an annex as a holiday let, they will look at everything anyway. But if someone is looking for just a house, the higher the chance they'll be put off by an annex, because they don't need that accommodation.
And the chance of your annex and whatever, because you've normally got the annex because of your needs, the chance of that annex fitting somebody else's needs is so tiny, and that somebody can't stand in the sitting room and imagine the whole thing without the annex and how they would incorporate it in, especially when they've got 2 kitchens. Kitchens is a big thing actually, because if the kitchen feels like it could be a utility room by whipping out the cooker and then not being subject to 2 council taxes, that's even better. So if you can imagine that kitchen is just a utility room. So I went to see a house yesterday, it's exactly like this. They've got 2 houses in one, they have got 2 staircases, but I think they can probably get away with that because it's a big house. But the second kitchen could very easily be a utility room with a knock-through. So that would be okay. But then people are going, well, there's 4 bedrooms in this section and 2 bedrooms in that section, and now I've got 2 master bedrooms to try and work out, and it just feels a bit disjointed. It's easy for them to walk into the dream home, it's just all one house.
It's a good example of where 6 bedroom is not worth more than 4 bedroom. So if you've got that situation, it's easier to say 4 bedroom, potential office, potential study, whatever it could be, as opposed to a 6 bedroom, and then all of a sudden, who needs 6 bedrooms?
And also, buyers don't like to work at thinking about how they would use the house. So they're standing there in the annex, and one of our lovely team members will be going, "Oh, how could you use this? That puts a lot of burden on that buyer. If they can't think of an immediate reason for it, then like Phil says, just paying for a bit they don't need. And if that's 20% of your house looks 20% overvalued.
Yeah.
Okay, decor. Some decor may need updating, but it's probably not going to be painting walls and changing wallpaper. That is probably a step too far. It could be that you've got a mismatch of different colours and patterns and everything, which definitely brings us on to the more accessorising and styling side. But don't go painting walls unless there's a really good reason for it. If you've got a bit of damp in the corner, touch that up. If you've had an accident with a NutriBullet, which we've had in the house before, then that needs attending to. But normal wear and tear on walls doesn't need attending to at all. Okay, so that's all the things not to do in general, and we are generalising, so this is why people ask us to come out and see the house way before they're going to sell it, because they need to know that they're not about to put money into somewhere that's not going to help them.
Yeah, we've spoken about flooring.
Yeah.
Flooring's a real simple thing, can totally change the look of a room.
Should we give you some general rules on flooring?
Can totally change the feel of a room as well.
And it just makes the whole house feel like it's been modernised, even if it hasn't. So generally speaking,
No patterns.
cheap and cheerful, except for, I'll say, lino could do with some kind of pattern.
Yeah.
Like the wood effect one or the tile effect lino. They're really cheap. Cushioned lino is really cheap, just don't walk on them with high heels. And same with the bathroom, just use the same lino. Kitchen, bathroom, done. B&Q is super cheap, and so is Homebase. The carpets in the rest of the house, definitely no pattern. Unless you're an interior designer, do not go pattern. So go for pale grey or like a pale biscuit colour. Don't go anything too dark. By the way, carpet always looks lighter down and walls always look darker. So just so you know the difference between those two. But yeah, light grey or light beige, not cream, but beige or grey. If it's a very good quality carpet, you can go lighter in colour. If it's a poor quality carpet, you need to go dark in colour. Speckledy ones are good as well. Entrances. So if you are going to spend any money, actually spending at the entrance is a really good idea. But what we mean by that is, sometimes there's two entrances to a house, aren't there? Like what we went to see yesterday.
Try not to sneeze.
Okay, I'll keep talking. So yesterday, and this happens a lot with old houses, where the front of the house was a walkable entrance, and the back of the house is the part that used to bring the carriages to on an old house. So now, where the carriages were, is the car park, isn't it? Is your driveway, it's where you park your car. And so you naturally use the back door, the old back door of the house, and the front door you don't really use. In fact, the one that we just put on the market wasn't using the front door at all. And so we've now gone back to, we'll be showing the house through the front door because it's got a beautiful, it's palisades and big grand entrance. And when somebody's spending $1.5 million on a house, they need to feel like they're also making their own grand entrance. So, make sure that you can use it, you keep it nice and clean, don't let anybody put clutter in there, apart from those, it turns into a back porch and it has clutter.
Yeah, just because you're using that door doesn't mean it's the right door for marketing purposes.
Yeah, that's right. So if we would naturally take a photograph of that front door as the front of the house, that is where we need to bring people into.
And we've done this quite often, haven't we? Especially with homes that come to us that have been on the market for a while. An easy fix is to say, look, that's not the front door, this is the front door. Because houses will always flow better from the front door.
Because that's how they were designed.
Yeah.
And people actually like to see the stairs as they go through the front door, normally. Obviously every house is different, but the older, grander houses had the grand entrance, the grand lobby, and then the grand staircase, and that's how it was supposed to look.
Yeah.
So normally the back door will bring people in through the kitchen.
Bedding is a really simple one. You said get it from Argos, I didn't know you could get bedding from Argos.
Yeah.
But,
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon, just as plain as possible. White bedding with a grey or biscuit coloured throw over and some nice cushions is the best you'll do.
Yeah.
Anything that's got a pattern on is difficult in terms of photography and often clashes with what's around it.
What we find is, if you take a photograph of, say, a master bedroom that's not particularly huge, it looks like, if you're not careful, an advert for the bed or the bedding. It looks like it should be on the Argos or Next website selling the bedding. But if you make it white, and we've got accessories we can bring along, so we've got lovely throws and cushions that coordinate with the room depending on what colour your room is, all of a sudden you don't look at the bed anymore, it's just a white bed. You're looking at what's surrounding it, you're looking at the features, maybe a fireplace or wardrobes or a window, and your eyes taken away from the bed, because the bed is not for looking at, it's just dressed in white.
It's actually amazing with the effect bedding can have on a photograph.
And you can go super
Totally
cheap for the white
transparent.
bedding, super cheap. Not so cheap you can see through the cotton, especially if you've got one of those darker colour duvets, but just, you know, just really plain, white or cream, possibly pale grey, but it does depend on the room.
Yeah.
By the way, if you've got white walls, you need to go white bedding. If you've got cream walls, you need to go cream bedding, because one of them might make the other one look a bit dirty, yeah.
And it's important that you have a thick duvet, or you can make it look thick, and pillows as well.
Sometimes we put 2 duvets in one duvet cover, that's one way of doing it.
And if you've got thin pillows, go 3 pillows, 4 pillows, don't go 1 pillow, it looks like...
Or just buy some nice thick pillows. You know how sometimes in your 5th room that hasn't been used for about 25 years, your 5th bedroom, you've got the thinnest pillows that nobody in the house would sleep on, you know, they're like paper thin. Now's the time to upgrade them. Okay, accessories. In fact, let's just do windows first, because accessories are a little bit longer. But windows, if you've got a blown window, change it. That's all.
Yeah, viewers, buyers love to think they're experts. love to, and as everyone does, they like to go into a home and think.
I am an expert.
And think they know what they're talking about and what they're doing, and often they have no idea, but they like to feel like they do. And they'll always walk to a window. And I found myself doing it as well, if they can see a blown window, they will point it out.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they've spotted it.
They're like a surveyor.
Especially the men, love it. Blown window.
Yeah.
Blown window.
Hundreds and hundreds of pounds for that window.
Yeah, so to get it fixed, again, you probably won't get the money back, but it'll be a lot more saleable, and overall, you'll get your money in the long run.
You will, because if you've got 3 blown windows, honestly, a buyer will knock 10 grand off the price without thinking about it.
Well, what it does is it makes them think, well, what else have they not?
What can't I see?
Yeah.
Okay, accessories. So the beautiful house we went to see yesterday, the lady had lots of collections of things, and you know, they can be just collectors. I mean, but they can be very precious as well. Now is the time to pack those things away for your new home. Or what?
Or if you've not used them for, what's your rule? If you've not used them for a year...
It's definitely not my rule, it's my dad's rule. Yeah, it's time to let go of it.
It's time to maybe find a new home for it.
Find a new home for it. But if you have got a collection, it needs to be boxed away, because what happens when someone's got a collection of something in the room?
People look at it. We had a home, I think we photographed yesterday, had a lot of elephants. We tried to collect a few elephants, it was a few herds of elephants. And it's what you notice, you walk into a room and you see the elephants, and then...
And once you've seen one lot of elephants, you're going to be looking for the next ones.
Elephants.
Yeah.
We were selling the home last year, and everyone kept saying to me, you're selling that home with the elephants.
That's home with the elephants, oh my goodness. And I once sold a home down in Milton Keynes for a client that had a beautiful Victorian sort of, you know, hallway and staircase going up, really big long walls. So they decided to put a dead tiger rug on the wall. So it was shocking, actually. It wasn't a liger, no. You can just learn that. Yeah. But when you walked in the house, that's all you saw. And it definitely needed to go. It was a distraction. And on a smaller note, I sold a house for a lovely couple down in Audlam in Cheshire. It was a lovely house. When you walked through the front door, there was a shelf facing you, and there was a little Aboriginal man with a spear, like that, pointing at the front door. So it felt like he was attacking you as soon as you walked through the front door. I said, look, he needs to face a different direction or go in a box. So you got to be aware of how a buyer's going to feel when they turn up at your house. For start, don't want the spear thrown at them, but they also want to be able to relax into the surroundings and look at things that they're supposed to look at. So if they're not relaxed, they're going to just find something to look at. It'll be your old wedding photograph from 1971, or it'll be, you know, your herd of elephants on the mantelpiece.
Or again, talking about they want to relax, you'll always feel uncomfortable in someone else's master bedroom.
Which is understandable.
Because not even your friends go in your master bedroom. And we sold a home, was it last year or 2 years ago, where there was some interesting artwork,
Intimate
intimate
artwork, yeah.
in the bedroom, and that just adds to the feeling of uncomfortableness.
Yeah. You don't know where to look.
Yeah, and that's not what you want. We want to take in where they put furniture, how they would use the room, not think. Oof.
So you're trying to minimise distractions, really, aren't you?
Mm.
Because if you minimise distractions, things that the buyer do remember are things that actually going to sell the house, not your intimate art, which is probably not going to sell the house. So what are your accessories? So if your cushions are more than about 4 or 5 years old, the chances are they probably need updating now, because cushions designs change very quickly actually, and especially if you've got any pattern on it at all. A pattern from 5 years ago will look dated, and actually if it's just plain and you've got dogs and kids and you've spilt your cup of coffee down it, then it probably needs changing. So maybe now's the time to upgrade your cushions. Suites, we don't normally recommend that they get changed unless you're going to change your 3-piece suite anyway. Your 3-piece, what do you call it?
Just no one always calls them suites, but for
What do they call them?
sofas,
Yeah, but then what you call the other two things? They're chairs.
a smaller sofa.
Well, you guys know what I'm talking about, 3-piece suite, which is what we all used to have. If you're going to change it anyway before you move, then change it, after you move, then change it before you move. So if it's so dated you're going to change it, then give your buyers in your house the benefit of the new look sofa. But otherwise, don't worry about the sofa, just try and dress it with new cushions, and that makes a massive difference.
Yeah, flowers as well, for photography.
We do bring flowers on our photography
We do,
shoots.
yeah, and it's also nice to have fresh new flowers on viewing, but it can get expensive if you do it all the time.
Yeah.
And
Silk ones are nice. You can get really nice silk ones now from Amazon. Those, like the orchids in the little pots, we've got a few of those kind of accessories that we use. If you look at our photography, you will see certain accessories that keep appearing in people's houses because we've kept them a long time.
And we've had one client before who was the perfect client who used to bake just before viewing. So if you could do that for us, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, that would be
we
great.
will obviously take away what you've baked. Just because
It's part of
our
it.
experience, isn't
It's
it?
part of the fee.
Yeah.
So that's it really. So if you're thinking about selling your house at any time in the next 5 years, and you're thinking that you might need to do something to it now's the time to get us in. In fact, I was only speaking to a friend just the other day that's going to either spend £150,000 on their current house, or they're going to add £150,000 to their house sale and then buy something bigger. And actually, out of those two things, I think he's going to get more from adding that to another house sale on purchase. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
100,000 is quite a lot, isn't it, to spend more than the house has got now?
Yeah. And just as a side note to finish on, I read an article yesterday which said that although all the doom and gloom and these experts said what was going to happen, house prices are higher since we've been allowed to open again than they were prior to lockdown.
Should we make a plea for houses as well? Because we do not have enough houses to sell.
Yeah, but just give us.
We've got some really nice ones coming to market at the moment actually. We've got probably about 8, I think, coming to market in the next 2 weeks.
At least.
Yeah, but after that we're going to be stuck. So particularly for autumn actually, that's something that we are trying to plan for. And anything between 500 and a million is what we get asked for more than any other price. So if you know anybody who's thinking about selling in that time and in that price and they want advice about, that's not good, is it? Chucking our pens around. God knows what's going to happen to that when you chuck that on the floor. Our magic whiteboard. If they want advice on any of these things, then now is the time to ask. Because for the price of a cup of tea, that's all we ask, isn't it? Not the price of a cup of tea. If you make us a cup of tea, we'll share our thoughts and ideas with you, and we could save you a fortune. Like we saved at Gal yesterday, £15,000. That could be you.
Could be you.
Well, look forward to seeing you on the next Ask AJ, and please let us know if you've got any questions. We love questions, don't we?
Sometimes.
We like challenging questions.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Questions.
Yeah. So thanks very much for watching, and see you next time. Have a great day.